And it was already
Thank you. Thanks for live. Put it in the budget when?
well, their taxes. They have the full taxing authority, so what do we need our guarantee?
None.
Come on, boss, let's get the show going.
It's 7. Everybody ready? Very good. It's time to call the Ferrisburg City Council meeting for Monday, June 17th, 2024 to order. Amber, could you call the roll call, please?
Councilmember Montgomery.
Here.
Councilmember Sias.
Here.
Councilmember Murdoch. Here. Councilmember Kate.
Here.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Here.
Councilmember Sturley.
Here.
Mayor Carlson.
Here. Next on the agenda is the invocation by Pastor Sean Nelson, who's the youth pastor of the Gateway Church. All rise and then have the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, let's pray. God, we just thank you for everything you do in our lives. God, we thank you for the cross. Lord, we thank you, Jesus, Lord, that we can just come to this council, God, and just put you first. And God, we pray a blessing over this council meeting. God, I pray that everything that is on this meeting agenda, God, that your will be done. I pray a special blessing over Mayor Carlson, God, as he just continues to lead. God, I pray you just bless him and let your spirit just continue to guide him and be with him. Lord. Just thank you for everything that's going to happen in this meeting. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving on, this is a time for public comments, the time on the agenda for any citizen to direct brief comments or questions to the city council. Time for public comments will also be given when an agenda item is discussed. If you have a comment or question, please raise your hand to be recognized. And after being recognized, state your name and address for the record. And please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Any public comment? Yes, sir.
Jason Court, 17855, 168th, Ferrisburg. Just some questions about the Lake Ward, what they're doing with the alum treatment. How is that going? What are you guys leaning towards? After sitting in the Spring Lake one and hearing some of the questions of efficacy, cost, what is happening with Ferrisburg as far as, are they looking at that as the same as Fruitport? Are they tabling it? Have they asked any more questions about how it's actually treating the lake and what's happening? I don't know about some of you, but if you live on the lake right now, it's not a pretty sight. You can't even see 2 feet underneath my dock right now. I mean, it's bad. So when I hear cost $670,000 a year, and it's gonna get passed on to, I'm guessing a lot of people that sit here that live on the water, we just have a lot of questions on why my lures won't go into the water and sit on top of a giant scum of algae, and I can't catch bass. On top of it, the fish that usually bed in those areas can't bed over there because they don't get sunshine. So they actually move out of the way and have to find new breeding grounds. What is being done with that, and how is that affecting? So just some general questions.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name's Kevin Pretty, 15997 Vinecrest in Spring Lake. I live on Lloyd's Bayou. So obviously since the beginning of May, our lake had tons of weeds and it's been like that gradually getting worse. Obviously I've been around, connected with people, and I learned about the treatments and so forth, but what was surprising to me was there was a spill, I guess, last time they were talking about home treatment. And so looking into it, it's a little sulfate. I'm not a fan of putting chemicals to begin with, but it just seems like it was kind of messed. And I've been trying to find out more about that 40,000 gallons that were spilled, how that happened, what exactly was going on. So that was my biggest concern. Obviously, we would improve. It seems like Spring Lake's concerns. really just trying to figure out more about that, and, learning more about.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Craig, do you know anything about that spill that you fill us in on? Please.
I really don't know any specifics of it. I remember hearing about it, but that's about all I know.
There may be some discussion once we get to the agenda item on it. Anyone else have any public comments?
To the right,
Okay,
Mayor.
please, step forward.
Because public scares me, but my name's Amalia
Me
Ziegler.
too.
I live at 18282 Christina Court, and I'm coming to you guys tonight after being invited by Mayor Carlson to introduce myself. I'm running for Spring Lake Township trustee. While I know you guys cannot vote on that race, our neighbors and my decision affect me. I'm running with a slate of 3 other people, 2 other trustees, Sawyer Reskowski, he's a municipal law attorney, and a business owner, Mark, he goes by Jack Schroeder. He owns Versatile Woodworking Solutions in Unica. I'm also running with Ellen Del Rosa Kern, who's running for supervisor. You may know her, she's Spring Lake boards and all various different volunteer work throughout the community. The 4 of us are running together as we share a common view for Spring Lake Township. We desire to preserve the unique beauty that we have here and safeguard the well-being of current residents and generations to come. We also firmly believe in transparent decision-making and empowering the citizens' voices. We're not affiliated with any of the groups, county or citywide. But I brought some pamphlets if you guys have any questions, website or through social media. Mind if I
Great,
hand
no,
these up?
bring them up. Anyone else have any public comment? Yes, please. Forward.
Ann Smith, 17520 Williams Street, Spring Lake, Perrysburg. I too am here regarding the Lake Board decision that you guys have on the agenda for tonight. We own property on the lake, and it is, in the 10 years we've had property, this is by far the worst it's ever been this early in the season. The lake, every bayou you go into is covered in green. You can't even boat without having to wash your boat off every time you get out. So my question is, having worked at MSU Extension and worked with the water quality team and water resource department at Michigan State, there are several groups that can come in and help evaluate the status of the lake. And I'm just wondering if any of that has been done, and if not, why not? And why are we looking at doing the same treatments that was done previously? And are there other options we can consider without dumping more chemicals into our lake, especially after 46,000 gallons was spilled, and that was very close to where my property is? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment tonight? Seeing none, let's move forward if we could. Moving on to agenda item 6A, consideration for approval of the consent agenda, approved June 3rd, 2024 City Council minutes as printed.
So moved.
Motion and support, any discussion at all? Seeing none, Amber?
Councilmember Montgomery.
Yes.
Councilmember Sias.
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch. Yes. Councilmember Kate.
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Yes.
Councilmember Sterling.
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Moving on to agenda item 7, new business A, discussion and to take action if appropriate to remove from the table a resolution pledging the full faith and credit of the city of Ferrysburg to the Spring Lake Special Assessment Lake Improvement Bonds in the amount of $3,600,000. Ferrysburg's share of that is 27%. So I'd entertain a motion so we can get it on the floor.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion to remove it from the table.
Very good. Motion and support? Good. Mr. Parliamentarian, do we need to vote on that?
Yes, please.
We do? Okay. Can we just do it all in favor, aye, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those, same.
Motion, opposed? Motion passed.
Very good, thank you. So 7B, discussion and take action if appropriate to adopt a resolution pledging the full faith and credit of the city of Ferrisburg to the Spring Lake Special Assessment Lake Improvement Bonds in the principal amount of $3,600,000. Once again, Ferrisburg's share is still 27%. Number of us on the board are on the city council have received comments from citizens. And because of those comments, we decided to table this request or this approval for the bond. And we're gonna deal with that this evening. Brief history of the situation is that the Lake Board wants to go ahead and do some chemical application to the lake over a 10-year period for the tune of $3,600,000. And they assess all the lakefront property owners and people with easements or marinas or that type of thing. And it's divvied up, and 27% of the amount is coming from Ferrisburg. People that live in Ferrisburg, not all the residents, okay? So that was tabled because of the complaints. I took the leisure and wrote a letter after I went to the Spring Lake Lake Board last Thursday, to the Spring Lake Lake Board, just laying out some of the concerns to shorten the time that we were going to have interaction with the Lake Board. Just to give them what I saw was City Council's questions that they were getting from citizens. And so I'll read this here real quick. So I sent an email to City Hall. I said, Craig, with the Spring Lake Board attending our meeting next Monday, in the interest to cut to the chase, I committed to them at their meeting last Thursday the 6th to provide a synopsis of the City Council concerns with the bond proposal for lake chemical treatment. Please forward to the City Council for any input and return to the board today if possible. We received no comments from City Council beyond what I had remembered. Spring Lake Board's concerns. Number one, the management of Spring Lake by Progressive Architects was never competitively bid as required according to Part 309 Inland Lake Improvements of the Natural Resources and Environmental Protection Act 451. At your August 2023 public meeting, it was requested that the management and 10-year plan be bid out in a formal request for proposal, which was completely ignored. Why should a contractor be approved when it wasn't competitively bid? There are many, and we're talking 3.6 million. There are many qualified lake restoration companies available. Beyond that, just the Spring Lake, the one that Spring Lake Board is using. Number two, the current management company, Progressive Architects, was responsible for an alum spill of 46,000 gallons in 2005, and this was not disclosed to the public. Do they have timestamp documentation on this disclosure to the state of Michigan? Numerous citizens have tried to find public records of the spill. It's just not to be found. In the absence of the needed product to cover all the intended areas of the lake under their license due to the spill, who paid for the extra alum that would have to be ordered to do the job correctly? Taxpayers, Progressive, the alum vendor? We don't know right now. And we're talking several, we have lots of semi-trucks flowing through town every day here in Ferrisburg. We're talking 6, 7 semi-loads, okay? Number three, how do we trust a company and former board chair and supervisor that did not notify the public? Even if MDEQ was notified, the public deserved to be notified as well. How do we trust their recommendation for continuation of the same treatment that hasn't improved the lake quality? What is the scientific data that supports using this continued approach for restoration of our lake? Why are we continuing to use the same management company that was never competitively bid to start with? Number four, why is Spring Lake Board not a member of the Michigan Lakes and Stream Association? Do the Spring Lake Board members participate in educational conferences such as the Michigan Lakes and Stream Association Conference, which was just held in Muskegon in April, with a focus on restoration if possible? This board is all appointed and not elected. What are the qualifications of the board members to serve on this board? And is any education required of the members? Number 5, why is public input not encouraged? Rather, it's just the opposite. There's scant public notice of meetings and agendas. The minutes are vague and don't reflect public comments. The website is outdated and testing data is minimal and documentation is outdated. For me, trying to go to the meeting, I couldn't even find out when the meeting was on numerous websites. I had to have City Hall email. When they emailed it to me, it wasn't from the board chair or anybody else, it was from the paid consultant. He's the one that put the agenda out. Number 5, why is the public input not encouraged? Why is public input not encouraged? Rather, it's just the opposite. I read this already, sorry about that. Many other lake boards do a better job of keeping the public informed and encourage citizen participation in the restoration of the lake, and even offer citizens training programs to help ensure participation in the lake restoration. Thank you, the mayor.
Your Honor, I went to the Lake Board meeting and I'm not sure if it was in January, last winter at Spring Lake Township, or Spring Lake school auditorium, when they passed this thing. It was obvious they let us citizens speak. They totally ignored us. It was evident that they made up their mind that they were going to use a no-bid contract. They're going to do whatever they wanted to do without any, I shouldn't say any, without citizen participation in the thing. It was a done deal long before they even hit the gavel. My big question is if they're going to put alum on the bottom of the lake, as soon as these guys tie up their boats and drop an anchor, they destroyed the whole process. So I think they already taxing us. So they have the authority to tax and collect taxes, correct, Craig?
Correct.
So we're already paying the tax. Why do we need to, the main thing on our agenda tonight is whether we're gonna codify that with Ferrisburg's full faith and assessment, or full faith and credit of the city of Ferrisburg for the bond. They already have taxed. They can bond on their own. There's no reason for us to co-sign a bond that they're already collecting the money. So I was very disappointed in the meeting. The particular thing that was really disappointing to me is people that had a quarter mile of frontage is getting paid $600, and the people that have a 10-foot boat lot on Spring Lake are paying $600. So somehow the equity in the way they proposed the tax and passed it was, in my mind, completely unfair to the vast majority of the property owners. So therefore, I'm totally against doing any, guaranteeing any bond for the city of Ferrisburg to guarantee their bond.
Anybody else have any comments before we bring up Tony Groves from Progressive Engineering?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
I was going to ask how long we've known about this, but now I know from Councilman DeWitt, it's been January that it was introduced. I was kind of focusing on the mathematics of all this. 27% of $33.6 million is $927,000 that they want us to pony up. Where does that come from?
It comes from those people in the assessment district. We're guaranteeing that amount. We're
Okay.
underwriting it. But
Who is in the assessment district?
property owners.
Property owners on the
Marinas,
lakefront.
property owners. that
Okay.
type of thing. Yes,
That helps.
but it does,
That doesn't
it
make me
does
happy
affect-
about it, but it helps me understand it.
the one effect it does have is, remember, we have Smith's Bridge coming up.
Right.
Yes, we're in good shape for bond, or for the grants and everything else. But any action like this lowers the amount, or lowers our credit limit, our
Okay.
borrowing limit.
All right. Thank you.
Your Honor, I also live on Spring Lake, and I was not happy when I saw my tax bill. I immediately called Craig and said, "What is this $600?" He said, "I have no choice. They take it. If you don't pay it, they put a lien on your property." I think that's taxation without representation. No one notified me. No one asked my opinion. The lake is horrible. I've lived there 30 years. It's the worst I've ever seen it. It's green, it's slimy, it's got seaweed everywhere. It's horrible. Obviously, the alum treatment is not working. So why are we going to do it again? That is the definition of insanity. Repeating the same thing over and over, expecting something different. I'm totally against it.
Anyone else have anything to add?
Your Honor. Yeah, I spent some time out on the bayou this weekend in the boat with my grandson, and I wouldn't even let him swim in Smith's Bayou this weekend with the green algae all over. The inlets are clogged with seaweed and other allergies. It's in bad shape. We definitely need to do something for the cleanup, but I'm not necessarily convinced that this is the right way to go. Co-signing a bond for, puts us on the hook for about $900,000, as Bill mentioned, and I'm not sure how that hurts our bond rating. If we have less debt on our bond, how would it affect negatively our bond rating? Oh.
Anyone else?
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
This is a done deal. The Lake Board has ruled and they made their decision what they're gonna do. So the only decision we have is whether we're gonna co-write or guarantee the bond, as it were.
Correct.
So would you entertain a motion?
Correct. I think we probably should first, Tony, can you come up and would you like to address the board? Please. Introduce yourself, please.
My name is Tony. I'm an aquatic biologist. I work for Progressive AE. I represent the Lake Board tonight. I want to clear up some misconceptions because there's been some discussion, and there's some concerns, valid concerns. But let me explain and expand a little bit on what you've already discussed. And I'll keep it brief. I see you've got a healthy agenda tonight. I'll try to keep it possible. With respect to the composition of the board, someone made the statement or had a concern that board members were not elected to the board. By statute, the board members are appointed. Each local unit of government that borders Spring Lake appoints a member to the board. Plus, there's a member from the county, 2 members from the Lakes in 2 counties. So we have the county commission, both counties, the county commissioner, the Clean or Water Resources commissioners, both counties. We have a representative from Perrysburg, Village of Fruitport, Fort Township, Spring Lake Village, and Spring Lake Township. So all in all, it's a 10-member board. Now, the way the project works, the board doesn't just proceed with the project without getting some public input. And Mr. DeWitt, as you noted, a new project has been approved at a 10-year. The initial project back in 19, and it had, I believe, a time frame. There was another project with elm tree. It had a 10. So it's a 5-year time. Now we're back with a new proposal, 10-year time. Board, prior to initiating a project, first thing the board has to do, actually when it's established, give a little context, is to hire a consulting engineer. That's my company. Now, some folks have said, well, that needs to be competitive. Why wasn't that? I think it was initial. Once the community or an entity hires an engineer, discretionary part. Think about it, there's some logic to it. And that if once you have an engineer on board, they get to know the lake, they get to know the community. Our job is to guide the decision-making, provide information so the board can render decisions. We have a technical role that we play here, but you don't go ahead and get a new engineer every time you have a new project, there'd be no continuity. You don't get a new lawyer every time you get a legal opinion. So makes sense to have continuity with the project, and the board has that discretion to do it. Now, the concern has to do with competitive bidding. The board is required to bid all contract work. So any vendor that works for this board, that work is competitively bid. Excuse me. The alum treatment, as you know, Mayor Carlson, that's when board approved bidding document, solicit bids for the alum treatment. That will be bid nationwide, and it will go, the contract will go to the lowest qualified bidder. So in terms of how we got here, the board doesn't just make decisions and steamroll people. We had 2 public hearings last year. There was one in August. The board sent a notification by first-class mail to everybody in the special assessment district. There are about 1,200 parcels in the assessment district. The notice was also published twice in the Grand Haven Tribune and I believe another newspaper. With that, provided information on this. And this way, every property owner.
Tony.
August.
Thank you.
Required by statute, but the board felt they wanted everybody to know not only what is being proposed, but what the cost is and how that cost then is apportioned throughout the district. That's the consultant's job to guide the board through that process. So we went through that process. We had the public hearing. And again, for full disclosure, there were transcripts of the hearing. A lot of questions were raised at the hearing. I've been to a lot of public hearings over the last 40 years. I can tell you, and you know this as well, when you have a public hearing, people generally don't go to the hearing to tell you what a great job you're doing. People are there and they have questions, and oftentimes they're pointed questions. The hearing in August, there was pretty much overwhelming support for the project. There were some people that were opposed to it. Certainly, their questions were answered. No one's questions were ignored. You can look at the transcript and look how those were done. By the way, those transcripts are on the website. The full transcript, we had a court reporter there, recorded everything. That information is posted on the Spring Lake Board website. Then we had a second hearing on the assessment poll. Out that every consumer of their assessment made some revisions to the roll based on those comments, and then the board approved a 10-year assessment goal. And shortly after that, they approved a new contract with my firm for a 10-year period, assuming that we perform over that 10-year period. Again, the board has the discretion in any year to terminate that contract with my firm if we don't deliver our service in a professional and timely manner. So that's, it's not like they're locked into us. It's locked into us to the yeah. People say, well, why didn't you look at alternatives? Well, part of my job is to look at alternatives. I've been doing this a long time. I work on projects all over the state. So I'm very well versed in what works and what doesn't work. So on Spring Lake, did the original alum treatment. We looked at alternatives to other products out there, did a feasibility evaluation, looked at other alternatives, came back to alum as being the most tried and true approach. We spent about $30,000 over the last couple of years with another firm with a PhD at did a sediment analysis, how much available phosphorus in the sediment. That's what's driving your algae bloom. The original alum treatment, we anticipated it would have a 5-year time frame. It would give us benefit for 5 years. It lasted nearly 15. That was done way back in 2005. And you're right now the lake doesn't look. That's the purpose of the alum treatment. Pull the algae. Phosphorus is being liberated off the bottom. It's fertilizing itself. The alum covers that, binds that phosphorus, and holds it to the bottom. It's been used in hundreds of lakes. There's an enormous amount of data, scientific data, on alum and its efficacy. It's been well studied. Our homework on the analysis got an approval from Michigan. Some folks have mentioned the spill. There was a spill with the initial application. Last day of treatment, factor apparently, and I won't only going with state records on this and the testimony that they, the Allen was the site onto a barge, contractor inadvertently available, but instead of filling the tanks on the barge, Allen just drained out into the lake. The rest of that was contractor error. We required that contractor to have a hold harmless provision in their contract that they would hold the board harmless any negligence on their part. They're also required to carry liability insurance that names the Spring Lake Lake, all of its entities as additional insurance. So they were fined for that, about $30,000. Lake Board and the community didn't pay for the sum, nor did we pay the fine. That all fell on the contract, right? So there was a spill. Contractor acknowledged responsibility for it. I was informed of the spill at 9:15 in the morning. I called. At that time it was you within about 5 minutes of being notified. Someone suggested that we never was reported immediately. There is a consent order that has that time defined. There is documentation. There was no attempt to hide it or obscure it, but in the process of doing that, we learned a few things. But the board was fully protected and cost the community anything beyond what our original contract was, the initial Allen application. So the Allen worked, it worked well, worked longer than we had originally projected. We anticipate this treatment will be even better. We've got new application technology. We've got a lower rate of release from the sediment than we did prior to the initial treatment. And this dose is 20% higher than was done back in 2005. And the reason we're able to go higher, the dosing methodology back then for Allen was different than it is today. Recent science has shown the best way to get the most cost-effective Allen treatment is to look at the amount of phosphorus available in sediment water column. That's why we spent the 30 hours that sediment. So we're at a point now where the project's been approved, the public's been informed, and we've recorded all the documentation that we've got. Everything's on the website, there for public review. We are trying to finance the, and in order to do that, we want to sell bonds. And what folks don't understand either, the consulting, look at the total project cost. We're going to $70,000. About 70% of that is for the cost of the 15% is the ongoing lake treatment. The applicator. It's 85% of the cost. 9% is for contingency. Only 6% consulting. So it's not like you're paying us hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. Small fraction total budget. So what we need though is we're not asking for, we're not asking the city for a dime, as you indicated. This is from the assessment that those that live on the lake or have deeded or dedicated access to it. Not everyone pays. Some pay a quarter of that. Some pay half that. It depends if they're waterfront or backlot, developed or undeveloped. That's all spelled out in that handout. So the board's not asking a direct contribution financially beyond the pledge of your full faith and credit, and that simply allows the bonds to be sold because whoever's going to purchase them needs to know that the communities are standing behind it. And if the bond were to fail for whatever, that there's municipalities behind it. Never had a shortfall in assessment in the 25 years I've been involved with this project. If somebody fails to pay their assessment, the county settles it. So the city's not going to be on the hook financially for any of this. However, to market the bonds and get a good interest rate so we can keep the cost of this down, we need to have a full faith and credit pledge from the city. Now, Spring Lake Township, Charter Township Report, have both adopted the resolution. So you're the last community now, and that's why the board provided this council so they can keep the process forward so they can get their bond rating, get a good interest rate, and get this wrapped up. So I gave a real quick overview. You open up the questions. But,
You bet there are,
okay,
Your Honor. No matter what we do tonight, our lakefront property owners are gonna be charged $600, right?
We already paid it.
Already have been. When you say scientific data, my radar goes up. Because we just went through a thing called COVID, in which all kinds of scientific data was thrown at us, and none of it proved to be true. Third, I'm sorry, I'm not going in order here. First, second, third. What the heck is alum?
okay, that's a great
And,
question.
and what does it do?
Yeah, okay, it's
It sounds dangerous to me.
Well, it's not. Alum is actually, it's in food products. They have alum, it's a spice.
When I hear alum, I think of aluminum.
It is aluminum sulfate. Yes.
So we're gonna throw that in the water to solve a problem.
Well, we're gonna put aluminum sulfate in the water to bind the phosphorus. Settles to the bottom and prevents phosphorus release from the sediment. Phosphorus is the nutrient that drives the algae growth in the water.
Until an anchor hits the bottom, then what?
It's done in 15 feet of water and greater. About 600 acres of the lake would be treated. The anchor is not going to be as far as it disturbing the sediment. It integrates into the sediment and it binds with the phosphorus and keeps it from recycling in the lake.
That's plenty, thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
So I keep repeatedly hearing from public comments that the lake is as bad as it's ever been. What do the public want to do if you don't treat the lake? 15 years ago was the last time the lake was treated. I think there's some recency bias here, perhaps. Yeah, it's bad right now because it hasn't been treated for 15 years. I understand the problems with the process and people on, you know, I'm an advocate for transparency in meetings and the public being informed about what's going on. With that being said, it sounds like that there's a problem with the lake and you're all asking for something to be done about it, but you don't want it to be treated how it was previously treated when perhaps it worked to clear the lake. I've heard Debbie say before that she used to have to rake the lake. I'm guessing that was before 2005 when the first alum treatment was. So perhaps the alum treatment worked 20 years ago. And right now, it's not top of mind that, you know, the lake's in bad shape. Well, of course it is. It hasn't been treated for 20 years. So I just wanted to point out that there's a lot of people here complaining that the lake's in bad shape and that it needs help. This is one avenue for help. I'm not saying that it's the right avenue, and I'm not the expert to even make that judgment call. But the Lake Board's trying to do a service to the lake residents, and this is the best way that they know how. That's all.
And the last couple of years have been bad for ice cover as well. So you have plant growth that can get way more sunlight than they. Anyone else have anything?
Just one question.
Go ahead, Jerry.
I have a question. How long after treatment does it take effect? How long, I mean, if we treated it this summer, would it take effect immediately or would it
Pretty much
be
immediately.
throughout the year?
Yeah, the application itself takes 30 to 40 days to complete. But the impact and the effect will be almost immediate thereafter.
Couple questions. So you do the alum treatment and it's good for 10 years, or you do it every year for 10 years? How does that work?
No, it's going to be good. Well, we're projecting 10 years on this treatment. Last treatment lasted almost 15. So we're projecting 10 conservatively. Hopefully we'll get 15, maybe 20. But just to be conservative, we're saying 10 years. So you may never do another one. But the last one was it was done in 2005, so that's almost 20 years ago. So I don't see another one in our lifetime. So it's not something you do on a regular basis. This is kind of a one and done type of an approach.
What are the hazards associated with alum?
Well, I mean, there's always a safety concern, but there's really the way these treatments are done, there's things built into it to make sure that it's environmentally safe. I mean, when the Eagle does the permitting for it, they look at things like the pH of the water, any potential for aluminum toxicity, provided all the information to Eagle to make their decision, and a toxicologist went through, basically prescribed the dose, methodology, monitoring that will be done during treatment to ensure there are no. So it's safe and effective. So it doesn't impact the fish, doesn't impact the health of the lake. You couldn't ingest enough alum from a treatment; it wouldn't equal what you get when you use the food pit. I mean, so alum is used commonly in water treatment for municipal water treatment to clear the water, so it's to treat our drinking water. So it's not a hazardous.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to understand what the worst case scenario is. So we had a spill and they were fined.
Yeah.
They don't typically fine you if there's no dangers associated with that.
Well, there was a fine because technically it violated the permit. And at the time, the DEQ, they had to take time to do their investigation. They required that we monitor for 5 years to document there was no ill effects in the lake, which we did. But so they wanted to recoup their cost and a minimum, and to slap the hand of the contractor as well. They violated their permit. Somebody was, phraseology, asleep at the wheel. Made a mistake. Valve open. Shouldn't have happened. It did happen. So they wanted somebody to pay. So it was a reasonable, I think, penalty given what happened.
How did you guys determine, or how did the board determine the $600 per property owner? Why didn't they go with a cost per foot of lake frontage?
It's done according to benefit under the statute, and I found, and the way the Spring Lake was set or apportioned or spread in the district, this formula we use this time is almost identical to what's been done for the last 20 years. And the reason you don't go by foot, and I've tried this before and it doesn't play well. You could have someone, and someone mentioned someone's got 500 foot of frontage, but they're only paying as much as it's got 100 foot of frontage. That's true, but the person that has 500 foot of frontage, maybe 80 years old, not used at all, did they pay 5 times what the person with 100 foot of frontage that's got 2 jet skis, Estracraft, uses the lake all the time? So it's done according to benefit. Benefit for similarly situated property considered the same. So waterfront developed pay a full assessment. Undeveloped. Backlots with access to half of them. The backlots with access to undeveloped pay a quarter assessment. And then the marinas pay more based on the size of the marina. So that's kind of the criteria in a nutshell.
I have to disagree with your thinking.
Okay.
My next door neighbor's 95 years old.
Mhm.
He has 100 foot. He's paying 600. He's in a nursing home. The house is empty. He's being billed and he's not there. He's not able to use his property.
Yep.
I have 100 foot. My husband has Alzheimer's. We sold our boats. He can't boat. I'm paying 600. So your thinking is a little wrong.
Well, I don't know if I'd say it's wrong. The property, the benefit, the assessment goes to the property, not to the property owner, even though you're paying for it. So I understand what you're saying. But what's the board supposed to do? Go around and inventory everyone on how they use the lake? What would happen is I can tell you, everyone would say, oh, we don't use it at all.
Well, it's recorded how much footage each property has, and
Yeah.
I think what Will said, the footage is what you should bill on.
Well, that has the same pitfall that you just explained. The point being, the apportionment scheme's been in play for 25 years. They apportioned it the same way. We had no appeals of the assessment, not one, to the Michigan Tax Tribunal. So there are over 1,200 assessments levied, nobody challenged it. So I understand what you're saying, there's no perfect way to do it. I agree, there's no perfect way. Someone's gonna say, "Yeah, I'm getting a raw deal," but that's just the nature of.
Just because nobody challenged it, I called the city manager, and he said, I have no choice. So maybe that's what other people did too, and we were told, you don't have any choice, tough, you're gonna pay it.
Well, it's not that coarse. I mean, you received 2 notifications. You had the opportunity to go to the public hearing. You had the opportunity to voice your concern to the board. And believe me, the board's very sympathetic. I work for the board. I'm accountable to the board. They listen. And they want to make sure that everyone that has a concern, that issue is addressed. You look at the transcript, and people that raise concerns to great pain, rationale. I agree with you. Is it perfect? Oh, no matter how you slice the pie, somebody's going to perfect way that's going to satisfy.
And you say alum doesn't have any effect, but why do I get postings on my filings saying don't have any contact with the water for so many days?
Well, that's not the alum. That's the herbicide treatment applicator. That's another contractor that the board, and they're required by state law when they do treatments of the lake to post any use restrictions that apply. No herbicides for use in Michigan have a swimming restriction on the label, but the state requires that they have a 1-day swimming restriction. Sometimes there are no fish. So that's those signs are telling the herbicide.
And also, why don't you get to the bottom of the problem, which is people have septic systems, particularly in Fruitport, that are leaking into our lake. People are spraying weed killers leaking into our lake. Can't you stop? That would be the way to go.
Well, you're right. You make a good point, getting to the source of the problem. But the board, the Lake Board, the Spring Lake Lake Board, we're not a regulatory. Just like you. It's got to come from, unless you're under order to do it. Now, they had more people than there were. And we do set out education. Not using, not spread. But all we can do is encourage and try to incentivize. And not to do it. Absolutely. Part of the problem, watershed management element that we're going to be coordinating with the Water Resources Commissioners in upcoming years. So we're not just saying the alum, that only addresses half the problem. The other half, that's part of the program.
I've got a lot of public comments about residents just not feeling heard and not feeling like they have a voice in this process. I know you said that the Lake Board takes it seriously and takes everybody's comments into account. You've also said that we've done it the same way for 25 years. So do you have any examples of where we've gotten public comments and the board has changed an opinion or a methodology or looked at something differently other than just explaining why the resident is wrong or misinformed?
Rare that once you set up your apportionment scheme, and if you thought it through, that you would change it midstream. And they did do an adjustment of it this last time out where some of the marinas were going to pay more. By the way, everyone thought the marinas should pay more. We had to kind of say, well, we can't put it all in the marinas. But that was probably a big point of contention. Occasionally, there's a revision made to a criteria, but once you do that, you've got to re-notify everybody. We spent thousands of dollars to notify a hearing and what the apportionment plan was. And we've never had a formal challenge to a Spring Lake assessment over the last 25 years. And again, it's not perfect, but it's a fair and equitable. But to answer your question, I have had a couple boards that changed it. One went to the front foot thing, tried that for a few years, and then went back to the benefit thing based on waterfront or backlot. The vast majority of lake boards assess on this. There's about 150 lakes. I work for about So I'm fairly well versed in this meetings. This is the most common way that it's done.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Yeah, we're losing sight of the problem in front of us. Problem in front of us, are we gonna dedicate the full faith and whatever credit of Ferrisburg on this bond? You know, this, treatment thing is a done deal. They're gonna do it, so we can talk about it all night long. Question before us is, are we gonna put the Ferrisburg in hock for it?
Agreed. It comes down to good governance. It's not so much our place to question the technical, what you're applying, when you're applying, how it's assessed, or anything else. It comes down to, we've got citizens complaining that they're out of the loop. They weren't getting enough notification about what's going on. Craig, you forwarded to us today an email from David Billinghurst, who is our representative on the Lake Board.
Correct.
I don't have that email in front of me. In a nutshell, what did he state?
He wasn't going to be able to attend tonight. He didn't know if he'd be able to answer any questions because he wasn't on the board when the special assessment was started and the alum treatment was being discussed.
Okay, but when the Lake Board did take the vote, who was, I understand there was a lone no vote. Who was that?
That was Mr. Billinghurst, yes.
That's
Ferrisburg
correct.
rep.
Our Ferrisburg city rep is the lone no vote for moving forward with this. And he had also, not having the email in front of me, I believe he said something about it was not being competitively bid.
That's
that
correct.
correct?
That's correct.
Okay, very good.
He didn't have he asked the question but didn't have the answer black and white.
Yeah, and so in response to Mr. DeWitt saying about staying focused, the focus is good governance and doing what's right for the citizens. And that's what's being questioned. It's not the alum or any of the other little details. That's your baby. About good governance for the 27% of the people on the lake that happen to be affected by, in Ferrisburg here. And our rep said no.
Well, as you know, Dave's new to the board. And Dave, to his credit, he was reluctant because he was brand new to the board. I think his first meeting was, so he was really not in a position he felt to make a decision. So he basically voted no, which made perfect sense. But the other 8 of the board members voted yes. One had passed away, so they could see it. So I wouldn't base that just on that. It was, and it is competitively bid. The alum treatment, that is advertised even as we speak. So that will be a competitively bid contract.
How about your 60 grand a year of consulting to Progressive? Is that competitive? Are they going out actively? And
well, no, they've already, that decision was made last year that they approved the new contract.
I understand that, but you've been with the Lake Board for what, 20 years?
25.
25 years.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Could you explain to us, if we deny this, what ramification it has for the Lake Board?
Well, it's gonna make it difficult to borrow money, at least at a decent rate, so it's gonna probably cost more.
But you're already taxing me for it.
Well, the tax amount is a maximum. I'd like to keep it below that.
No, they didn't say $600 or less. It said $600 plus $300.
Well, if you look at the history of the board.
Yeah, I did. I've been paying for,
Well,
since
if you look at the
the board
history
was
of the board, there are some years where no assessment carried a surplus, levied no assessment. So where I was going with that is the board has the discretion to lower the assessment at any time. They can't increase it. So that $600 is a cap. So in answer to your question, you can't borrow the money with all the communities collectively backing the bond issue. It's going to increase the cost of the
Is that $600 a year?
a year for 10 years. correct.
That's what I thought. That's a lot of money
No.
coming out of, we pay enough taxes already.
It's
I don't-
900.
I don't disagree. I live on the lake. I know what the tax burden is.
I make a move that we refuse this.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
Okay.
I have a question.
Motion and support on the floor. Discussion, Jake?
Yeah, I have a question for the gentleman. If we don't co-sign on it, you say that the cost may go up. Is it potential, is there a potential for the special assessment to go up?
No, the assessment won't go up above the 600 short of another public hearing to get that approved. So I don't anticipate the assessment's gonna go up. No. To
Okay.
answer your question, flat out, no.
So I just want to understand the process. So with you just need a public hearing and then you can make an assessment?
No, you need to have, you would have to revise the roll, and there would have to be a public hearing in which everybody is notified that the scope of the project's changing and the costs are being increased. There would have to be one, maybe two hearings on that, because then we'd have to have a hearing on a new roll. So we've never done that. And
So-
in my tenure, we've never done that, nor are we proposing to. But anyway.
So how are these numbers for the assessment developed then if we don't have a successful bid?
We have a cost estimate for the work, and that was part of my job is to develop a cost estimate. It's the basis for the budget. I have another project that we just bid about a month ago, smaller project. The estimate was $550,000, and the bid amount was within $1,000 of that. So we're pretty and right now, our estimate for this project is $3.3 million. The bond council built a contingency into the bond. So it's actually, the bonding amount is going to be a little bit less. But we won't know that, I want to be careful, until we get the bids in hand. That's why the board approved the bidding this past Wednesday. Mid-July is when the bids will be in.
Very good.
The board will consider awarding a contract.
Anyone else have any other comments
Your
on
Honor.
the council?
Your Honor.
Yes.
You know, whether we support this or not supporting the bond or support Debbie's motion, the citizens are gonna be on the hook for the $600 regardless. It's just gonna make life harder on the lake board when they go to the bond market and try to get financing for this bond, which could cause them to pay a higher interest rate.
Potentially,
which
yes.
eventually could affect, again, the lake property owners of the city. Personally, I feel that the property owner should be taking this up with the lake board and not so much city council. I feel that it's our responsibility to take care of our natural resources, and I feel that we're on the hook for this money already. So we should support the bond. I don't see making life any harder on the lake board, but I would encourage citizens to go to lake board meetings and have their voices heard. That's where you need to express your opinions. We can listen to your opinions, but I cannot change anything that the lake board is going to do. So our hands are somewhat tied. If we don't support this bond, all that's going to do is potentially cost you more money and maybe prolong the cleanup of our lakes. And I'm just not willing to take that chance.
Okay. Mr. DeWitt, you went to the Lake Board meeting that you described earlier. What was your experience? Was it open and transparent?
It was a done deal before we ever had the meeting. You listened to me complain. Gotta be honest, you did. Everybody up there was going, falling asleep, and it was already a done deal.
Meetings aren't real exciting.
Any other discussion, city council?
Can we move this on, Your Honor?
We can. That's why I'm asking. Anything else? Nothing? Amber, can you call roll, please?
Councilmember Kate.
No.
Sorry, Councilmember DeWitt.
No.
Councilmember Murdoch.
No.
Hold on.
To clarify.
What's that?
To clarify, the motion is to not approve.
To
That
not
is correct.
approve.
Correct.
So,
Oh, okay. We're
We need to
voting,
back up.
Okay, well,
We need to
I'll start
back it up.
over. So yeah, the
Thank
motion
you.
is to not approve.
Not approved, thank
Okay.
you.
I'm sorry, I thought
Yeah,
that was
thank you.
clear. Oh,
Okay, we'll start over. Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes, I'm voting not to approve.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias,
No.
Mayor Carlson.
yes.
Motion passed.
Very good. Moving on to new business, item 7C, discussion and take action if appropriate to install, not install additional speed tables on North Shore Drive. Another quickie.
You think?
Craig, do you want to talk a little bit about the public survey that we did?
Sure. So we've had some requests for additional speed tables on North Shore Drive. We've had requests to remove the speed table on North Shore Estates. The speed table on North Shore Estates has been removed. And to determine if there was enough interest to add another speed table on North Shore Drive, the city did a survey. We did a notice to all the property owners, 89 property owners on North Shore Drive area, asked them if they felt the current speed tables have calm traffic, and if they would support another speed table, one around the tennis court area and one south near Maryland Court. And we had a response rate about 79%. For the speed table near the tennis courts, there was 55% support the idea, 44 not support the speed table. And the speed table south of Cambridge Drive, it was 58% supported, 42% did not support it. Along with the survey, there was a number of written comments. Those were all included in your packet. There was really no clear answer whether to install additional speed tables on North Shore Drive. With 83% of the people saying that the current speed tables have calm traffic, it'd be staff's recommendation that we do no further speed bumps or speed tables at this time.
Yes.
Craig, did we do the speed bump?
We're doing speed tables. We're gonna put a speed bump on North Shore Estates.
That's right, we're gonna do the speed bump.
Yep.
Okay.
We're pulling the table up.
It's up, yep.
It's up, and then putting a speed bump in.
Correct,
Asphalt.
correct.
And so the Cliff Notes version of the survey is that people are asking for no more speed tables. Is that correct?
It's a little on the majority would favor them, 55%, 45% do not.
Your Honor,
Yes.
when I looked at the survey results, my general takeaway was that what we've done is working and that the opinion is mixed as to how it's being received now. It's been less than a year since we installed these speed tables. I support no further action on this at this time. The action that's been taken by council has worked, and we need to be patient as a council and continue to monitor it, see if it continues to work.
Do you make a motion?
Sounds good. Anyone else?
Okay.
I would support that.
Okay.
I would have supported it.
Was that a motion, Jake?
No, it was just a comment.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
And I support it.
And the motion is so that Amber can get this clearly. Mr. DeWitt? Your
Motion is to leave this, leave as is at this point and let it run for the summer and see what happens.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Amber?
Okay. Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Moving on to new business 7D, discussion and take action if appropriate to approve a proposal from Huntington Bank to provide the city's banking services. Amber, is that you?
That is me.
Great.
Okay, we visited a while back, the idea of changing banking services. Council had asked that I went out for bid or for proposals. I did so, and that was sent out on May 10th. Request for proposal to, I believe, 9 different banking establishments, all meeting the within 5-mile requirement that we have within the city. I received 5 proposals back. Of those 5 proposals, there were 3 that I really dove into, and of those 3, I believe Huntington is our best course of action, is to move forward at this time. I really focused on the fraud protection that is being served, customer service, as well as the interest rates being provided.
And we are presently with?
We are presently with Fifth Third.
Connor?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Amber, we obviously need more than one bank because we're over the deposit insurance level, correct?
Correct.
So what's our second bank then?
You mean for investing, or at this time?
Well,
currently the city only holds, we only bank with one bank, but we have investments made with other banking establishments.
okay, so that's not gonna change?
No.
So we don't get tied into one bank where if they fail, we're losing our money?
Correct.
Okay, just so we're under the insured.
Correct. We are, yep, every bank that's been looked at is fully insured, FDIC protected. It's good.
But there's a limit, correct? I think it's 500 for cities. Am I correct in that, Craig?
There is, but then it's how we invest too. So currently, actually a good example is at this time, we have an investment account with Huntington. It's an insured cash sweep. So you can invest, we have in excess of 500,000 invested there, but they break out to different accounts that are also then FDIC insured. So we're able to invest more with that establishment.
So each account would be insured to the max?
Correct.
So you're monitoring it, we don't get above the max in any particular account?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Permission in class too.
Yeah, okay. So what Craig had said is another example is we also have Michigan Class. It's the same thing. It's a pool. We put our money there, and again, they spread it over different establishments that are then meeting those requirements. So we're able to, again, invest in excess.
Okay, well, my concern is we don't get one particular bank over the insured amount.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a proposal from Huntington Bank to provide the city's banking services.
Or
good. Amber?
Okay. Councilmember DeWitt.
yes.
Councilmember Sturley.
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery.
Yes.
Councilmember Sias.
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch.
Yes.
Councilmember Kate.
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Moving on to new business 7E, discussion and take action if appropriate to approve a request from Kevin Haviland to have 10 minutes fireworks display at 10:15 p.m. on Saturday, July 13th. And there was a note in your packet, the email from Roger Jonas. And today, wasn't there a response as well from Kevin as well, Kevin?
Yes, there was.
Okay.
He addressed all of Roger's concerns.
Okay.
The applicant's here if you'd like to ask him some questions.
Kevin Evelyn. I live at 15983.
And you're proposing to do what?
A brief 10-minute fireworks show on Saturday, July, launched from
What's the occasion?
my wife and I have a very good friend who's had several years of loss and tragedy, and this milestone birthday for her.
Go ahead.
Your Honor.
Of course.
I live on Lake Point, so, and I have dogs. They do not like fireworks. And so for the 10 minutes that you're gonna put in fireworks, I'm gonna have dogs squealing and barking.
Yeah, Your Honor.
Yes.
I was gonna ask, have you notified the public or in that area?
So
You said, oh,
for our process, this is our first step. After that, we need support from the fire department, we need county, state, and federal. So this is like the step one before really the work. If all of those things don't line up.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Craig, does this come to us because it's not a holiday weekend, or?
That's correct.
So if it was a holiday weekend, there'd be no issue or no reason to come to us?
That's correct.
Okay.
If it was in that time frame, that's allowed.
And Craig, what does, what input have you received from staff? Fire chief?
The fire chief is willing to have a couple man a fire truck on standby. So there is gonna be some cost to the city for having the truck out there and the payroll for 2 firefighters to be out there.
Okay.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
I guess my question, Kevin, would be, if there's cost to the city, would you be willing to pay that cost to have a fire truck standby? Okay. Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
In the interest of moving this along, I would make a motion that we approve the request, providing he reimburses the city for a standby fire crew if required by the fire chief.
I'll support.
Very good. Any further discussion? Seeing none? Amber?
Councilmember Sturley.
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery.
Yes.
Councilmember Sias.
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch.
No.
Councilmember Kate.
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
I'll scan you that tomorrow.
Thank you. Moving on to 7F, discussion and take action if appropriate to recommend approval to the Michigan Liquor Control Commission of a Class C liquor license for Pine Street Grill LLC located at 201 Pine Street, which is the old Pizza Hut location.
No.
Pizza Hut?
This is Pine Street.
Pine Street.
Pine
Isn't that
Street
right,
Cafe,
Craig?
isn't it?
This is not the old Pizza Hut.
Former Pizza Hut building?
This is the former Pizza Hut
So,
building.
so Pine Street Cafe is gonna move?
No.
No.
That'd be great.
We have the
Are you
applicant here.
you're the applicant?
Yeah, explain
Why
it
don't you
to
come
me.
forward?
So we own several restaurants.
Here,
and our
why don't you come up and introduce
Hello, my
yourself?
name's James Curtis, 1451 7th Street, Muskegon, Michigan. We own several restaurants. Our lawyer usually just uses the street name as our LLC. We'll have a name, something completely different, but that's just how we start the LLCs. Without him knowing, he did Pine Street. Fortunately, the minute I noticed that when I was sending an application, it won't be named Pine Street at all.
So what is it?
We don't know yet.
Ah,
I
to
can tell
be
you the
determined.
concept,
You
though.
want to be the first to know.
I wanted to know.
I understand.
You can still be the first to know. We can email you.
We'd love to hear the concept.
Yeah,
So, all our properties, we really like family. You know, obviously bar. It's going to be more on the sports bar side. We're leaning towards pizza right now. We want it to be a place where the community gets together. You know, it's not a once a month place. It's a hopefully once or twice a week place. You can stop in before your baseball game, after the softball game, grab a pizza, you know, salad, that kind of thing. We don't like to overcomplicate it. Really good food, good service.
You said you have other locations.
We
Whereabouts?
So we own Fuel in Spring Lake.
You're the guy.
Carlisle's in
I was
Muskegon.
just up at Dockers this weekend,
were you really?
and I asked the question, yeah.
And Dockers in Muskegon.
Okay.
Your Honor?
Those are all our properties.
Yes, sir.
Craig, does this affect Pine Street Cafe's application at all?
No, so when the city approved the redevelopment commercial district, and we qualified for 2 on-premises liquor licenses with that calculation of the commercial ratio to total development. And so the window is closing on that opportunity to issue a second liquor license, because after July 1st, we would have to do recalculation, and the city really hasn't had any substantial commercial development that's going to qualify us for a liquor license in the next 3 years.
So at this, excuse me.
We do now.
So at this point, we have 2 available, correct?
We have 1 more available. One's been issued to Pine Street Cafe.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's
A question?
Yeah.
good news.
Yes.
Outside of Pine Street Cafe on the Pine Street side is a sign that says Louis Bar and Grill. That's something else?
The owner of Pine Street owns Louis
Okay,
in North Muskegon. I
okay,
think it's North Muskegon.
all right. I may never understand, but that's okay.
Yeah, threw you for a loop already.
You gotta get close and read it.
I guess. Motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion and support. Anyone have anything else to add?
I hope you have more than pizza and a salad.
We absolutely will. We absolutely will.
Okay.
The
Because
salad will be
I
really
want to
good.
come.
We absolutely will.
Okay. Any other discussion? Amber?
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias.
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Sterling,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank
you
you.
all so much. We look forward to it.
Hopefully
Thank
we,
you. We do
hopefully
too.
we see you back here asking for some outside seating like Pine Street.
Great. Moving on to 7G, discussion to take action. Discussion to take action if appropriate to approve new building, electrical, mechanical, and plumbing inspection fees. Craig, you want to fill us in this, please?
Yep. Recently, the mechanical and plumbing inspector came and provided a revised agreement for his services effective July 1st. He's asking to have an increase in his inspection, per inspection, up to $75. So we're gonna take this to city council to look at it, to whether approve it or not. And if we're gonna do the mechanical and plumbing inspector, I included the building and electrical inspector as well. So when the city budget was prepared and adopted by city council, we proposed to raise the inspection fee and permit fee to $60. So it'll be $60 in and $60 out for each inspection. And so if city council is willing to move the increase to $75, we're gonna raise the permit $75 inspection fee as well.
So it's just a pass-through.
It'll be a pass-through, correct?
The applicant pays the inspector.
That's
and we
correct.
just collect the money.
That's correct.
Okay.
And so these inspectors have been working for the city for a period of time. Staff has never got a complaint about an inspector. They do a great job. We would support the increase that they're asking for.
What are other municipalities? The other municipalities use these same inspectors, right?
The city of Grand Haven has a mechanical plumbing inspector on their agenda tonight for the $75 as well. Same person.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
we have good inspectors. I tried to give them a raise a while back. It's time.
Yeah.
They've been working for the same price for what, 2007?
They've had a couple of increases.
Now,
And the agreement in your paper, in your packet for the electrical, there was a typo in there, should be $75, not 40.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
So just to clarify, Craig, we offered them a raise, right? From the last budget discussions, to up to $60 from where they were previously?
That's correct.
And this is like a counter offer to that, essentially?
I'm not sure the mechanical and plumbing inspector got word of the increase.
Okay. So they were unaware that we were gonna give them a raise before they submitted this contract?
Mechanical plumbing inspector, I'm not sure he was aware, the building inspector was.
Okay. So, just to be clear, this is a pass-through, but we're passing this on to citizens. Okay, so this isn't like a free and clear deal. It's $15 extra for every permit per citizen. No, I spoke about this the first time that Mike brought this up. You know, I'm all in favor of paying people a fair wage, but I'm also in favor of paying what's comparable to other municipalities. And when we looked at this the first time, paying $75 per inspection would be at the top end of other municipalities. Is that correct, Craig?
Be correct, not the top end, but be up there. We're not above.
Right, but top end.
Yeah.
But we'd be essentially matching what's happening in the city of Grand Haven.
Correct.
Is that correct?
What's being proposed in the city of Grand. They have to pass that.
Okay. Mr. DeWitt, I know you spoke about that earlier. Did you have anything else to add?
Well, the problem we have is there are very few inspectors out there. So the option would be we'd have to go with a safe built. If our inspectors quit, that is a major problem. in the regard that we're gonna have all kinds of complaints. Craig's gonna be on the phone half the time with Safe Built. I deal with them in 2 other municipalities. They have never, ever passed a inspection on the first inspection. They come back, they always find some rinky-dink thing. So you gotta pay another inspection fee. Well, that's a homeowner's fee, you know, so, our inspectors work with people. If you have a question, if you have an issue, a lot of homeowners do their own work. They're not familiar with all the codes. There's an issue, George and Bob both say, okay, this is what you have to do, take care of it, and I'll re-inspect. And, or send me a lot of times they'll just say, send me a picture. Good inspectors, I deal with them all over the state. We got 2 of the best in the entire state, and they deserve to be paid appropriately. And as far as Jake's comment, yes, we're pass through to the citizens. How many furnaces you gonna put in your lifetime? I mean, you may remodel your bathroom, what, once or twice in your life, a furnace once or twice in your life, $15 extra is not gonna be a real hardship for anybody. The bigger hardship would be if we get we've had them in the past here, where inspectors are, they think they're God. We had one in particular says, I know it's legal, but I like. Well, I don't give a rat's ass what you like, if it's illegal or not. Well, he wouldn't approve it. Well, then you get into them. Then I got to bring a state in to override them. And we got good people. Let's keep them and pay them appropriately. Grand Haven Township, I know, was paying Bob $75 an inspection. Holland Township, I'm not sure what's getting there. He starts in Allegan. Or no, somewhere down there. And he comes north. He does Holland Township, Port Sheldon Township, Grand Haven Township, Perrysburg, and then turns around and goes back. Nice thing is you can call him today at, say you get a job done at noon, you can call him direct, say, yeah, I'll be there at 5:36. And I can tell my customer, hey, he's gonna be there between 5:30 and 6 instead of them having to set their days on end waiting. Other municipalities say they'll be there sometime this week between 6 and whatever, between 4 and 6, whatever. Electrical inspectors, George is the same way. Actually, better for our customers, our citizens, to have a time frame. Granted, he may be, if he says between 4 and 6, he might be 6:15, but he's not showing up. So
entertain a motion?
I'll entertain a motion to approve it.
Your Honor.
Okay.
Did you make a motion?
He made a motion.
Oh, okay.
Can we get some support?
Support.
Thank you. Jerry?
I was gonna say, it appears that only the mechanical and plumbing inspector is looking for a pay increase. The electrical and heating is fine with what we've offered them, the $60 fee. With these being independent contractors, why don't we put this out for bid and see what comes back? Put it out to bid to other companies and see what kind of bids we get back.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I gotta say, I often hear clamoring up here for competitive bids when they're not competitive bids. And this is one time that other than Jerry, that I'm not. So I have to wonder why this is something that we're not exploring with the competitive bid.
Right.
So I'm not aware of a whole lot of people that do this for a living, inspecting fees. We can go out for bid, but I'm not sure how much a response we're gonna get.
Staff's recommendation is that we approve this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There is a company called Safe Built that does a number of inspections. I think they do Spring Lake Township and up in Muskegon's in certain places. They're a company, a big company that does inspections. Besides them, I'm not sure who else will do inspections.
Craig, are you familiar who Newport Township uses?
No, I don't.
Okay. 'Cause I know they use a company that, and he puts out the bid and he does other communities as well, so I don't know.
Mr. DeWitt?
Your Honor, Fruitport Township and Spring Lake Township use township services. I have no idea what they're paying their inspectors. I know the mechanical inspectors, late 70s, and there was nobody coming up in the trade. I mean, I've been offered the inspector's jobs, and at this point in my life, I'm not willing to give up my work. But what's going to happen is I honestly don't know of anybody that I know. Blue Lake Township in North, the guy up there is 82 years old, and they've been hunting for a year trying to find somebody because he wants to retire, and he can't because nobody, granted, it's not a big jurisdiction. Fremont has a company out of Newaygo. He's getting $100 an inspection. That I know because I had to pay him.
Yeah.
So I think we're being more than fair, and so these inspectors can make your life miserable for the citizens. We've got two good ones. I think we should just pay them.
Anyone else have anything?
One more thing.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go ahead and reluctantly support this based on staff recommendation and based on the familiarity with these inspectors here. But that being said, I think in the future, we do owe it to our citizens to competitively bid things like this. This is a reasonable raise, so I'm based on those qualifiers, I'm willing to support it. But in the future, if this comes up again, I think that we should explore it competitively.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, Amber?
Councilmember Sias.
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch.
Yes.
Councilmember Kate.
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Yes.
Councilmember Sterling.
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery.
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Moving on to 7H, discussion to take action if appropriate to approve the 2023-2024 city budget amendments. Greg?
Okay. So up on the screen, we'll go through the budget amendments one by one. In the general fund, the public service department's going over a little bit over budget. So I want to add $10,000 to a line item in there. And to balance the general fund, we're going to take $10,000 away from the contingency line item. So there'd be no change to the general fund. Here is a major street line items. And in here, when we prepare the budget, we expected to transfer $150,000 from the public improvement fund for some work on the major streets in the city. What happened was, when we go down to the public improvement fund, the top line item there, that we forgot to put the $150,000 in there. So what we want to do is we want to increase that line item by $125,000. When we prepared the budget, the goal was to use the American Rescue Plan funds that the city got for the COVID for the seawall, and we were getting some estimates that the seawall was going to be closer to $400,000. So we included a line item in the public improvement fund for the seawall for $200,000, and then when we got the bids, the low bid was $225,000. So we're going to use this American Rescue funds up. So the goal was to pay for the seawall out of the American Rescue funds, and then when the bids came in at $225,000, we'd had $300,000 to spend So at that time, we went out for bids for repaving the bike path from Carmen Drive to Dogwood. And the city council approved that, and when it was approved, we noted that there was gonna have to be a budget amendment because it wasn't included in the budget. So going back up to the public improvement fund, we're gonna take that 200,000 that we included for the seawall, we're not gonna need it, and we're gonna put $75,000 in for that bike path on 174th Avenue. So the goal is gonna be to, on this public improvement fund, is to zero out this fund at June 30th from the projects for the seawall and for the bike path from Dogwood to Carmen Drive. So for the American Rescue Fund, we're gonna take $23,000 and add it. That's about what's left in the ARPA funds. And to balance the budget, we're gonna take $25,000 away from the seawall and add $48,000 to the bike path, so there'd be no change to the bottom number of the public improvement fund. The other budget amendments we're proposing is in the building department. We've had a good year for building permits. We had $70,000 worth of building permits, so we want to increase that revenue account line by $45,000, electrical permits by $4,000, and mechanical permits by $6,000. So we're increasing the revenue by $55,000. For the expenses in the building fund, we're going to increase the building inspector's salary line item by $5,000. With all the permits coming in, we're going to charge some more administration to the building department, increase the line item for the building, plumbing inspector, electrical inspector, and mechanical inspector. So there's an increase in expenditures for the building department of $55,000. So all the funds would balance still.
Connor?
Yes.
Craig, we bid out the seawall project and that's turned into quite a little mess. Is this going to allow us? What I'm thinking is the guy underbid it, now he's not paying his bills, and we have to step in and do something to finish the job. Are we allowing funds, to have funds available to do that if this thing, I know we still owe him some money, but I'm thinking from what I see, it's gonna cost us more than what we owe him. And enlighten us.
So the seawall, we got about $224,000 into it right now. We got a bid to do the backfill for $4,500, the concrete for $15,500. And so we were expecting another $20,000 for the fence. So we got about $55,000 left that we can spend, and we're estimating about $45,000 is what we're gonna need.
And we have that available with these
Yep.
budget amendments?
Yes.
Okay. Where are we at with that?
They're gonna be backfilling this week. I thought they'd be there today, but hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna get sued by the subcontractors he didn't pay?
Right, we should be all set. There's a question with the contractor and one of his subcontractors on what it sold, and they're working that out in court, is my understanding.
Okay, so we're in the clear as far as we know at this point?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So you're essentially saying we've got 55 grand. And expected expenses are gonna be what, 45 or so?
That's what we're estimating, yes.
So we should be okay
Yes.
money-wise.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
These are, as soon as the backfill's done, the concrete guy's coming in, and we're gonna get that fence in. Get this wrapped up.
Yeah, because we have some parties in the park coming up,
Yes, plus a picnic for 4th of July.
but the work area is all fenced off and everything.
Right.
Entertain a motion on this.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'll move to approve the 2023-2024 city budget amendments as presented.
Support.
Very good. Anyone else have anything to add? Seeing none, Amber?
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Good. Is anyone interested in a 5-minute break? Council now or continue on?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we adjourn for, do I need to make a motion on this, sir, Mr. Parliamentarian?
I'll just recess the meeting for 5 minutes.
Okay, meeting's recessed for 5 minutes. So we'll be back here at 22.
I don't know why we have 3 work sessions.
That's crazy.
I know.
Okay.
And different charter members.
So, I went to, and I need. I raised several. When I raised everything down there, I don't. Now, you tell me that's listening to citizens. And before. But we got 5 days. And that was it.
And their mind had already been.
And they,
It was out.
that, some public comment. At a time. For everything we talked about.
Both meetings.
I think Kathy probably will too. I don't know, she did, I know, it sounds like she did the first.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
That ran the whole.
I was running, the next thing, mine were off the trailer too, running. It's
Yeah.
going, Kathy.
You guys gonna walk the 4th of July? Hand out flags?
Actually, no, it sounds like we're gonna ride in the DPW truck.
Okay.
Towards the front.
Oh. Yeah.
All is well.
See, you're trying to find a text here sometimes.
That's Emily's. No, that's not my thing. He just got neutered today. He's got his own set of issues. He got neutered today.
It's all, my girl gets all this.
Sleeping most of the day. He kind of came back to life before.
Boys are easy. I hate it.
I'm gonna make a motion, we limit what we put on the agenda.
Make a motion that we limit agendas to 2 pages.
Yeah, yeah.
Good Lord.
I saw that third.
Front and back.
Two pages,
Bill. 1 page, front and back.
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
Have some. I went through my chemo antibody treatment last year. Kind of like cancer started their growth.
You know, I went down there.
People in your family have them? I guess.
Well, what they're doing now is they're pulling off on the bike lane.
You still got to, when you do the minutes, you gotta go like at 8:30.
He'd be saving his right hand.
Maybe his wife rides on it. She's heavy. I don't know.
It is 8:40, and so we're going to get started. Let's call the meeting to order.
You can't legislate.
Moving on to 7I, discussion and take action if appropriate to adopt resolution 2024-001, a resolution authorizing the city attorney to submit proposal 1 to the governor of the state of Michigan and the attorney general of the state of Michigan for their approval to place.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Before we move into this, I would like to offer an amendment. Since the language of our proposed ballot initiatives has not been substantially changed by the Michigan Attorney General, I move that new business items 7I through 7Q be consolidated into a single new business item.
Per the city attorney, each resolution needs to be voted on separately.
Okay.
Well, I tried.
All right. You feel better?
I feel better.
Yeah, I understand. Craig, rather than myself reading each resolution, can I read off the resolution number?
Yes, that would be
and
so.
ask for a voice vote?
Yes, you can.
Yea or nay?
Well, that's something.
Is that possible?
Yes, it is.
Very good. That being said, I read I, which is resolution 2024-001. Need a motion and support, correct? Okay, motion and support?
Move to approve.
Support.
Motion and support, Bill and William. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, let's move forward. 7J, which is to adopt resolution 2024-002.
Motion to accept.
Support.
Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none? Would you rather call the vote? Is that what you have? Okay, very good. 7K, resolution 2024-003.
Make a motion to approve.
Support.
Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, passed. 7L, which is resolution number 2024-004.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Thank you. All those opposed, or all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, passed. 7M, which is for Resolution 2024-005.
Motion approved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, passed. 7N, which is Resolution number 2024-006. Motion, please.
Move to adopt Resolution 2024-006.
Or. Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, passed. 7O, which is Resolution number 2024-007. Motion, please.
Move to adopt Resolution 2024-006.
Support. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. 7P, which is Resolution number 2024-008.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Very good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes.
Hearing,
No, opposed.
very good. That passed. Okay. 7Q, which is Resolution number 2024-009.
Move to adopt the Resolution 2024-009.
Support.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, that wasn't so bad. Thank you.
Opposed?
No,
Great.
I'm opposed.
Okay, what do we have? Two opposed? We have two
Thank you.
opposed. Okay, resolution passed. Very good. Moving, so we got through that bill. Moving on to agenda item 7R, which is approve the mayor's appointment of Regina Schoberg to the Planning Commission for a term ending July 1st, 2027. And the application was in your packets.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the appointment of Regina Schoberg to the Planning Commission.
Support.
Very good. Any discussion?
Your Honor?
Yes.
I do. I don't disapprove of Regina's appointment, but I don't like her attitude towards council members attending other committee meetings. I don't believe that the way she presented herself was very professional, and I just have some precaution when it comes to Regina. So that's all I got to say.
Very good.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Craig, what is the standard for council members, other boards?
Typically, they don't because the thought is if a council member is there, they're kind of influencing or might want to influence the board's decision.
Craig,
Go ahead. Of course.
Craig, where did that thought process come from?
That was some literature that was given to us.
Some literature. So,
Yeah,
so
I'm sorry.
just because there's some literature produced to us, that makes it a policy?
It's not a policy, no.
Okay, so when Regina comes in here and scolds a council member for attending a committee meeting, that's a little out of line, I would say, and calling a council member unethical for doing so. We appoint these committee members. We should go to the meetings and see if we approve of their actions and how things are going in those meetings. Been a lot of complaints about the Planning Commission by citizens not being heard or being rejected. And I was asked by citizens to personally come and listen and sit and discuss this with the Planning Commission. And I did so, and I was scolded by Regina for it. And I don't think it was very professional of her. That's all I got to say. I don't oppose her position on the planning, and I'm not going to oppose her being appointed to this evening. But at the same time, I think that we need to really start to think twice before, we just fall into these ways of doing business. That's all I got to say.
Understood. Thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess my question from that, Jerry, is how is that different than any other citizen of Ferrisburg showing up at a commission meeting, whether we're on a board or a council or whatever? And I'm not expecting an answer from you, but if there's a complaint about that, how is our attendance at a commission meeting, other than the city council, different than any other citizen? I guess that would be my answer to that complaint, so I've said my piece.
Thank you. Very good.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with Jerry that, I typically don't, attend other, boards than the one I'm on. I was really convicted about this planning commission because it's my neighborhood. It's my neighbor that is, that Brockmeyer situation. I didn't want to get the scolding that Mr. Sias got, so I just stayed away. I had other issues that night.
It's not a policy, it's a personal decision.
Well, the thing is, you know, anyway, the question I have is, we're appointing planning commission members here. You're the planning commission rep. Have they indicated to you that they are willing and able to take the county planning, zoning?
Yeah. Bloomberg's certificate was in our packet, so she's.
Well, I mean,
And the other applicants, yes, all came before planning. They're all gonna be taking the citizen planning course, or already have.
they've made that commitment
Oh,
to you?
yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
All right, let's move on. I'll
Okay.
appoint, or I'll approve Regina's appointment.
That's a motion.
That's a motion.
There is a
Very good.
motion on the floor.
Oh, okay, there's a motion on the floor. Any other discussion? Hearing none? Roll call vote.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes?
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Very good. Moving on to 7S, approve the mayor's appointment of Connor DeYoung to the planning commission for a term ending July 1st, 2027.
Your Honor, I will make a motion to approve his appointment.
Support, Your Honor.
Yes.
How many spots are open on?
After this evening, Craig, did you hear the question?
Yes, so Regina's spot was open, she turned out. John Rifle's term expired, he did not apply. And Roger Jonas, his term expired in 2022. And so he requested from the planning commission to stay on to December 31st. And then the other applicant that was recommended by the planning commission agreed to step on to the planning commission January 1st and finish that term to July 1st.
Which is Gary Post.
Correct.
And at planning commission, we talked about this, and both of them are amiable to that arrangement. Okay. Any other discussion regarding Connor DeYoung? No? Amber?
Councilmember Kate,
Yes?
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Moving on to 7T, approve the mayor's appointment to Gary Post for the planning commission for a term starting on January 1st, 2025 and ending July 1st, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve Gary Post.
Support.
Motion and support on the floor. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes?
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Moving on to 7U, approve the mayor's appointment of Madeline Brooks to the Recreation Commission for a term ending July 1st, 2027.
Make a motion to support.
Support. Motion and support. Any discussion? None?
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes?
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Moving on to 7V, which is approve the mayor's appointment of Christopher Schropp to the Recreation Committee for a term ending July 1st, 2027.
I'll make a motion to approve Christopher Schropp's appointment.
Or.
Wonderful. Discussion? Nothing? Amber?
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias.
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Moving on, 7W, approve the mayor's appointment of Carol Sanchez as a regular member of the Kitchell Lindquist Harker Dunes Preserve Board for a term ending July 1st, 2027.
I'll make a motion to approve Carol Sanchez.
Support.
Your Honor,
Yes.
how many, do we have openings for all three people on the Kitchell Lindquist?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And all of these are renewals, right?
Correct.
Correct? Yep. Amber?
Councilmember Sias.
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch. Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
7X, I don't ever recall having an agenda all the way down to X. I'm surprised you- 7X, approve the mayor's appointment of Eric Schneider as a regular member of the Kitchell Lindquist Harker Dunes Preserve Board for a term ending July 1st, 2027.
Your Honor, make a motion to nominate Eric Snyder to the Harvard Journals.
Thank you.
Support.
Motion and support, any discussion? None. Amber?
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Very good. Moving on, 7Y, approve the mayor's appointment of Gary Post as a regular member of the Kitchell Lindquist Harger Dunes Preserve Board for a term ending July 1st, 2027.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion to approve Gary Post as a regular member of the Kitchell Lindquist Dune.
Wonderful. Thank you. Seeing no discussion, go ahead.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Good. And finally, 7Z, approve the mayor's appointment of Joan Mosier Kuiper to the Beautification Committee for the term ending July 1st, 2027.
I'll make a motion to approve
Support.
Joan Moser.
Getting pretty quick down there.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Very good. Okay, we got through that section. Now we're into the AA work sessions. It is almost 9 o'clock. Is there anything on here, Craig, that you could suggest that we may want to table?
There's really nothing to table. I want to work on the bylaws. We've talked about that a couple of times. There's some information in your council packet that might be, help us to move that along a little bit. The city email addresses, I'm not sure will take much time. Goals, you have the update in your packet, and if you have any questions, we can get with me. The forever millage, we can push that to the next,
If time allows.
yeah,
Okay.
July 1st.
Okay, very good.
I would like to. Not
Yeah.
tonight, yes.
I agree with
Yeah.
Will. I think those are both kind of heavy lifting topics that probably deserve attention that maybe we aren't willing to give
So
tonight.
we're thinking, tackle, the EDC and
See where
tackle, email.
We'll see where we're at after
Okay.
these.
Very
People
good.
are here tonight.
All right, so let's move on to the first work session, which is the economic development bylaws. And Craig, you had sent us something recently that you had found some information.
Yes, going through some old files, we found some bylaws for economic development and articles of corporation for the city of Ferrisburg for Economic Development Corporation. So those are included in your packet. I'm not sure if that's a starting place for city council to look and update these, or if they want to look at them and have the city attorney just to verify that everything's still valid. Reading this, it's very similar to some of the other bylaws that were included in your packet. So my guess is if city council is happy with this, we can discuss any changes that you might have for them.
So Craig, we have these bylaws that are just, haven't been followed in however many years?
There's nothing else in the file that shows that there was any work done with it. It just has copies of the bylaws and the articles of incorporation.
Is there any record that it was approved?
Yeah, it was signed and everything
Okay.
by city officials. The city clerk signed it, the city manager at that time signed it.
Was the board in that form ever filled?
I don't know the answer to that.
Your Honor.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
We have bylaws in place. I don't know if we need to. Bylaws for boards and commissions don't expire, correct, Fred?
The Kitchener Linquist has bylaws, planning commission, the recreation.
We can update them, but they don't expire per se.
Correct.
Correct?
Yep.
So the economic development has bylaws that they've been operating under since 1978. So why is this even before us?
So basically, we just need to fill the board, right?
Right, it has a different composition than the Brownfield.
Right.
Three of the board members have to be employees of the city.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know what the,
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
We had an economic development board in place, correct? That were
We had
duly appointed?
What would you call that group that we had that investigated EDC, Craig?
Economic Development Task Force.
Task force. It was a task force.
Were they were duly appointed?
So after the task force, there was a recommendation to combine the task force duties with the Brownfield. And so at that time, city council asked everybody on the Brownfield to resubmit if they wanted to be on that board. And everybody, the 7 members that are on the board, Brownfield currently submitted it. And so they've been we've had some conversations and some discussions and meetings of what can be done in the city for economic development. And then there was some discussion on whether the group needed to be bylaws. So the meeting's been on hold until we get this finalized.
My question to you is, they reapplied and they were duly appointed to the economic development, correct?
They were appointed to the Brownfield and the Economic Development Committee.
Why are we even having this discussion? It's in place, why are we even discussing it?
Well, because EDC hasn't had any bylaws to operate under.
Yes,
Well,
if you read those, Mike,
found last week.
the composition that is the current Economic Development Task Force or corporation is not what's outlined in that document. So that's what, can I say something, Your Honor? Just to be clear, like why we're doing this today is that when I joined council, I was appointed as a liaison for the Economic Development Board.
Mhm.
After reviewing the minutes of the board, I found that they were operating without creating bylaws. And while combining the Economic Development Board and Brownfield was part of the Economic Development Task Force Visionary Plan, the purpose of the Economic Development Board was not well defined. I thought it was important for the board to have their purpose clearly defined so they could best serve city council. And I suggest the board cease meeting until its purview is well defined. And that's why we're discussing it today.
Your Honor, it seems to me that we already have a board in play. We've already had applications come in. We've had people fill those applications. We voted on them as a council. It seems to me that the committee is already formed, and it seems to me that these bylaws should be reviewed by that committee, and then they should make recommendations to us as if they plan to go forward with these bylaws or make any changes. I don't think it's our place to set the bylaws for a committee, and I think that committee's already in play, and I think we should reinstate it at once.
The committee that you're talking about doesn't meet what the bylaws call for.
That's why they should create their own bylaws. That's what a committee generally does, correct? Most committees create their own bylaws, or does the city council create the bylaws for the committee?
So just to clarify, when I went back and looked at the minutes before I joined, they reviewed bylaws, tried to create them 2 or 3 times, and they were tabled. And that's why at the time when I came on, they were operating without bylaws, and I brought it to the attention of this council, and that's why we're here. They had an opportunity to create bylaws. They didn't, and now we're here discussing it.
Right. Robert? Yes. We have the chairman of is that you, Tim?
Yeah.
All right. Would you like to address this, please?
Tim Scarpino, I'm the chairman of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority and Perrysburg Economic Development Committee, Commission, whatever you want to call it. So Craig, I'm hoping you could correct me if I say anything that's either wrong or inappropriate. The Brownfield Redevelopment Authority is constituted under state statute. And we're required to have bylaws for that Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, which we do. Brownfield Redevelopment Authority was created when I was on city council, I think last year, 2008, and meets, pursuant to state statute, once a year, organizational meeting. We have not had any projects in the time that the committee's been in or the authority's been in existence, but we keep it in place in case there is. It is my understanding that city council, perhaps not all of you, but city council delegated to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority economic development activities. So the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority meets under state statute, has its bylaws in place. Great. If there are additional duties that the city council wants the BRA to take into account, economic development, that's my understanding what was asked of us. So we were looking at developing bylaws, or at least amending the bylaws to bring these two activities together. So, did it take us a while to do that? Yeah. Were we looking at what other municipalities and units of governments do with these two activities? Yes, absolutely. So, I'm sorry it hasn't moved as fast as perhaps you would like to move, Councilmember Sterling, but, we were moving forward with it. It's my understanding that, you all wanted to talk about that and what I thought would be our role as far as economic development. That's sort of what I thought that this meeting was going to be for tonight. I mean, we serve at the pleasure of the city council. If the city council doesn't want the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority to do anything related to economic development, then tell us, and we'll go back to meeting once a year, and that'll be that. But if you do want the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority to have this economic development aspect to it, tell us that, and then we'll move forward with developing the bylaws that keep us on the straight and narrow, and provide the city with an opportunity to take a look at what we might be able to do from an economic development standpoint. We've got some dedicated people on that committee right now, and we're just looking for some direction from the city council, and more importantly, some support. If you want us to do this work, we'll do it. If you don't want us to, tell us not to.
Your Honor, Tim, question for you. Can you outline the projects that the economic development has been participating in the last year and a half?
I haven't been involved in that. We haven't really done anything. We were starting from sort of an organizational, how do we merge these two duties together? And that's what we have been working on. We got Liz Butler from the chamber who comes and sits with us at our meetings, and she helps, kind of give us an overview of what's happening from an economic development standpoint, not only in Ferrysburg, but across northwest Ottawa County and southern Muskegon County, because that's important to us in Ferrysburg as well, I believe. So I can't think of a single project right off the top of my head. We're still working on the bylaws.
But whether it's economic development or Brownfield, one of them, was it working in on trailer place? I forget what the trailer place, what was the name of that? Global Solutions with the chamber. That was a project that was, you've been working with Pine Street.
That was the chamber.
Chamber's part of the economic development. part of that.
Yep.
Force,
Elizabeth wants to speak.
Hi, Elizabeth Butler, economic developer for Perrysburg. So yeah. And Pine Street. Projects that, as the developer, I was working with those businesses on. Not, it wasn't through the committee, it was part of my role.
and you're part of the committee.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was progress made as far as, may not have been a total committee effort, but part of the committee.
Partners.
Yeah.
We're gonna be partners.
I guess,
More so.
I guess my position is, we had it in place, why are we dissolving it? It makes perfect sense to me. Most cities and, municipalities have economic development brownfield as a defined committee. I mean, I've found like 30 different, examples in the area.
And that's the direction that
Right.
the merge these.
So I guess my feeling is we give them a chance to write the bylaws and.
Well, the bylaws are already written.
Yeah.
That's what's
We
all.
were really close to having a vote. I believe.
Well, just to dissolve it, just because,
We're not dissolving it. We have bylaws. If the committee is formed, we're not dissolving it.
It's incorporated with the state. Isn't that right, Craig?
Yes.
We were amending our bylaws to include the economic development. That's what the group had been working on for several months. Make sure that we had everything legit and working together, and we had reviewed bylaws from various other units of governments, and you're right, Councilmember DeWitt, that these functions in a lot of places sit with the same.
So
I guess I'm confused. I thought the Economic Development Committee was dissolved.
It was the task force. Was a start and an end.
Craig, we have this document from the resolution from 1978. That's filed with the state, right? Incorporated with the state.
yes, correct.
Okay, so right now, these bylaws don't fit with the narrative of the brownfield acting as an EDC. So what do we do to make that?
So
Like, do we
there's
have to dissolve these old bylaws? What is the proper?
So there's a couple options. You can sit there and amend the bylaws, or else you can have two different boards. You can have a brownfield board, an economic development corporation board. They can be the same members. They can meet as one group and then have close that meeting and open up the other meeting.
Which is how we do it with the tree board.
That's correct.
That sounds like probably the easiest.
It wouldn't be the same members though.
It could be.
Because you've got, well, the bylaws lay out city employees and that type of thing.
City employees
So it's
have
not
to be
the
able-
same members.
Correct.
They could intermix.
Right.
I might make a recommendation to have you throw those bylaws at the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority and have us take a look at them, and then make a recommendation to council as to how we should proceed, whether they should be completely revoked or whether they should be merged into some of the other things we've been talking about.
I would support that, you know, and I have no issue with brownfield doing EDC. I think other cities do it. I think probably. My only concern was after hearing Mr. Menrick on the brownfield. He came and talked to him, and just him talking. I don't remember. I don't want to add red tape and add steps just to add steps, right? So if it's easier for the chamber to come directly to us so we can get things approved without having to wait for another board, right, to give us, I mean, I just don't want to make it more cumbersome than we have to. So I'd like to find a balance in that. You know, they can work with the chamber at times, but the chamber also can come and not be held up by one more board.
Yes.
Well, if the chamber's involved in economic development, there shouldn't be no way. It would make you would discuss it, make a proposal to us instead of her coming directly to us.
Right, but I
Tim,
mean, that,
if-
now we're adding a meeting, right, instead of coming directly to us.
There's nothing, it ain't life or death.
Well,
It's-
today was a good example. If we didn't approve the liquor license today, it's a good chance we would have lost it, right? So, I'm not saying in any way that I disagree with the EDC and Brownfield. I'm just saying I want to, conscious of our volunteers' times, expedite the process for the people that are benefiting from this economic.
I think Tim's got a perfect solution here. Kick this back to them. Actually, schedule a meeting instead of cancel them, I don't cancel. This is the top agenda item and get it, a recommendation back to us.
Yeah, I've canceled the last two meetings just based on the conversation and what I've been hearing. I didn't want to proceed without making sure that we have full support of council. And, you know, the desire is to push these recently found bylaws to us and figure out how they are incorporated into the work that we're trying to do. Based on what I understand, you want these two activities, economic development and brownfield, Brett, sit together. We'll get the group together, we'll take a look at it and make a recommendation.
How does that sound, everyone?
It works for me.
Is that workable?
I think so.
Okay.
And like, Mr. Scarpino said that they have already worked on a good portion of the bylaws, so, maybe these bylaws from 78 are just, not very beneficial to you at all. You may just wanna come up with your own bylaws and at that time ask for council's approval, and I think that would be just as well suited, so.
Yeah.
Mr. Scarpino, there was one piece of the old bylaws, we'll call them, that I did appreciate, that I'd like your group to at least take into consideration. Talks about, projects, whether they're done in the neighborhood, brings on 2 additional members from that specific neighborhood for the time being of the project, and then they're done, but I really like that involving these.
Go to that.
Great. Well said.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Yes.
Table the city email, the forever millage and the city council goal.
Yeah, I'll support.
Motion and support.
Sounds good to me. We can handle it at the next.
I agree. Craig, do you need a vote on that?
Yes, please.
Okay. Just a voice vote, Amber, is fine.
All in favor to table items B, B, C, C, and D, D of the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you. Time for public, let's see
I
here.
don't think that's our longest, though. I think we're going till 9:30.
We're almost done. Now's the time for public comments. Agenda item number 8. Do we have any public comments? Public. Yes.
I'll just be real brief, and appreciate the, Tim Scarpino, 17761 Bayberry. Appreciate the attention to the Spring Lake Board and all the activities surrounding trying to get that awful body of water back health. I heard a lot of good things from the gentleman up here that I think he shed a light on a lot of things. But what I did want to say is, you know, the issue in Spring Lake goes much further beyond the city of Ferrisburg or Spring Lake Township, and it's a huge watershed. There's a lot of things floating downstream from Muskegon County, and until that time that we start to bring those units of government into this conversation, it's gonna be really difficult. I was on, he said 2005. I remember I was sitting there on city council when we approved the alum treatment then, and the fact that it worked for as long as it did. I've lived in Ferrisburgh since 1996. That treatment was in 2005. And for the better part of 10 years, the lake did kind of hold its own. The challenge I think that we're going to have right now, obviously, is whether you believe the scientists with regards to climate change or not, is just the heating environment, the sun shining, that really causes things that rely on sunshine and water to grow, really. So I appreciate you guys looking out for the residents of the city of Perrysburg, and just wanted to say thanks for your thoughtful conversation about it.
Well,
Thank you.
Pat on the back. Ooh. Man, I ain't had that in 20 years.
Oh, come on.
Coffee 1775 Cherokee. I got to ask a question because I'm not familiar with how council's supposed to work here. But in the regards to the alum treatment or the Spring Lake Board's presentation about the bonding issue, should a member of the council vote on that resolution if they are either subject to benefit or harm from the resolution? In other words, I'm asking if Councilperson Murdoch should have been voting on that because she is a property owner on the lake.
Says Mike DeWitt.
So am I.
I'm sorry?
So am I. And I get to pay the $900 instead of the $600. I live on the lake too.
You live on the lake too?
Yeah, and
Is it
difficult to do what?
Question.
I don't know. I pay the taxes, so I guess I get a vote.
I understand where nobody wants to pay nobody wants to pay the funds.
Yeah,
for doing that.
I think that's a fair question. At the end of the day, they're paying either way. So our vote tonight didn't affect them
Affect
paying.
anything. If you'd
Right.
been the board, that would have been something different.
Yeah.
again. All it did was the financial backing of the board's expenditures. That
And the whole lake board lives on the lake, so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with what you said here a minute ago, the working toward county's contribution. That is down there. Somebody really should start looking into that. They're pretty good sized grains from farm country. Into that. That's a lot of nutrients. Lake water, 30.
Well, we haven't dug into the details of that. We're assuming that the lake board is doing due diligence and measuring what's the inflow and where it's coming. That's always been the big concern for me with the blueberry development up in Spring Lake Township. It's gonna be coming right into Smith's Bayou across Van Wagner. 200 homes with well-fertilized lawns and everything else.
Everything to get this, well, there's been a lot of development up in that area. That is.
Yep.
Eventually, the other.
Understood. Thank you.
Probably beneficial to the city eventually to start supporting the way they can. I mean, you probably live where do you?
No.
Well, that's the way it is. I've lived there all my life, and time. You miss that farm was. Or the point is now that was.
I live where the duck pond. Yeah, I'm right where the duck pond.
All you had to do was have a west wind, and you had a whole mess of feathers. The east side of the lake, right over where the Spring Lake Swim.
Very good.
Assy.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You bet. Thank you. Moving on to 9, report, city manager.
No report?
Anyone like to chime in?
Beautification committees moving forward, meeting on prizes. Are pretty much dialed in, volunteering to help us. We have a couple face painters, we have a balloon person. We have no video person though. Sorry, Craig, I could not get a video person for the parade. So we are moving forward and it will be a picnic.
Anyone else have anything?
Rec Commission has our, food truck night Wednesday, first one of the year. We're hoping Ferry Park has cleaned up a little bit, but it should be a good time. Regardless, we'll have a good band, good food. Hope to see everybody there. Nora has our meeting this week. We are hosting a fundraiser in July at the Unicorn. I will send the link to all of you guys. Hope you attend. This year's a little different. It's a ticketed event with the hopes to raise some extra funds since grant money has been lower than previous years with the United Way. So yeah, hope you all can attend. Is it $40, Craig?
25 or 40, yeah.
Yeah. Per ticket. If you've been to Unicorn, they have great food. They're great hosts for pretty, for our different events. And yeah, hope to see everybody there. But I'll send the link out later this week and invite your friends. The more people we can get, the better. So, and there will be a silent auction, so that'll be good too.
Great. Jerry?
No report.
Okay.
No report.
No report? You what?
Your Honor, Craig, this picture you sent us about this guy spraying city property, you want to enlighten us on that?
So we got a report that someone was using herbicide to kill weeds or vegetation along Spring Lake. And we talked to our stormwater management consultant, and there's really nothing the city could do. But we did send a letter to residents in that area with some education material and stated it was not proper for non-city people to be using herbicides in right away.
Okay, so it's been addressed to the point we can?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. That's it?
Okay. Okay. So upcoming, we've got Party in the Park, next Wednesday? And then this Wednesday. In 2 days. Okay, very good. Sorry, we updated emails at my office and I can't get my calendar. So it's Wednesday. And then, of course, 4th of July.
Yep.
Mayor's Breakfast Parade, and then party afterwards in the park as well.
Craig, are we all set up to sling pancakes?
Yes, Pine Street Cafe is going to do the catering again.
I still have my hat.
All right, we'll be there.
Thank you.
I have nothing else. Thank you. Survive.
I object.
Hopefully it's gonna be stinking hot.
Thank you, Mike.